It's another glorious day here at Mid-Ohio. It's qualifying day, but first it's time for practice 2 here on FS1. Looking forward to practice this morning, seeing everybody get out there. Who's got work to do from what we saw yesterday, do you think?
Well, I think that the story today is going to be heat and handling. Maybe not in that order. Handling right now, and what I noticed yesterday is on the harder compound black tire, so many drivers struggling with the back end of the race car. So where this gets to be a little dangerous from a setup standpoint is you don't want to overcompensate right now as the drivers are running mainly on the black tires early here. You're going to have to run them at least once in the race, but what you don't want to do is overcompensate the balance of your race car and screw up what you need for qualifying, because qualifying is essential here for good track position. Tough track to pass, so you just have to keep the big picture in mind. But the heat is pervasive no matter what, and all the drivers are going to need to be careful about managing their bodies, their crew members as well, so they can perform tomorrow in high heat. It's going to be really tough.
Riding on board with Josef Newgarden. Let's take a few corners with him.
Down here in turn 4, that's where we've had that repave section. You kind of see right there the blend back to the older asphalt. That corner was reprofiled a little bit. Some of the banking taken out of it from 4 degrees down to 2. All about making it a little bit safer as Newgarden backs off, tries to find a little bit of room before he starts a flying lap.
And there's the Honda of Kyle Kirkwood. More Honda than we've ever seen on an Indy car.
Never not funny. Honda, I think, is going to end up being a drinking game for some of the viewers at home. Every time we get that phrase out, Kirkwood enjoys saying it as well in his interviews so far this weekend.
Based on the original F1 Honda from 1964 and 65, the RA271 and the RA272, driven originally by Ronnie Bucknam and Richie Ginther. So a proud American Honda heritage. Alex Palou, our championship leader, has a new livery this weekend. OpenAI in the beautiful matte black with the blue rear wing.
I got to say that, you know, with everything AI is capable of and all the pictures and videos that are generated by AI now, I would have thought for a slightly more exciting livery from an AI company, if I'm honest. It's just a black car with white stickers.
I don't even know if I'm looking at a real picture right now.
Oh, touche.
Oh, very nice.
This entire broadcast,
wow,
is AI generated. Are we even here?
Sometimes I wonder.
Easily the best livery in the history of motorsport.
Your unbiased opinion?
My unbiased opinion. The Fox Sports livery on Marcus Ericsson, the number 28 this weekend.
Big change for Ericsson on the 28 stand. New engineer, new race engineer on this program. Olivier Boisson being moved to a R&D role within the team. Dave Seifert stepping up to run Marcus from here on out, looking for a little bit of a shakeup for a team that's shown some speed but don't really have the results yet so far this year.
Yeah, Marcus outside the top 20 in points at the moment.
From new
oh, someone's been off and it's Kyffin.
Taking a journey through the gravel trap. And this is where it gets dicey. All the gravel and rocks coming back onto the track. He'll be careful to try to stay offline as best he can. Let's take another look.
Risk versus journey rewards. Yeah, just sliding off down there. It's proven to be very tricky, that newly profiled turn 4, mainly because there's a bump as you enter the braking zone, which has caught a lot of drivers unawares this weekend.
Bump on the entry, then lower grip. If you go slightly offline, as we ride on board now, thanks to Mission Foods with Christian Lundgaard. McLaren car. Oh, driving through. Oh, he's picking up all the rocks coming off of Kyffin Simpson in front of him. You can, that's such an interesting thing to be able to hear that. Bit unnerving from inside the cockpit.
You just hear the rocks rattling through the car as they dropped off Kyffin Simpson's Ganassi. Kiffin's having a really good run of things at the moment, steadily making his way up through the field. Simpson actually second most positions gained over the last 4 races. He's made up 30 spots from his qualifying positions. in the last 4 races. So racing really, really well and getting some great results.
You know, generally high teens, early 20s on finishing position. Now he's mid-teens to top 10s.
Sorry, D-Bell, you see Ferrucci there just trying to, not wanting to play this track position game, locking up, going into 6th, nearly getting into the side of Will Power.
I think Will Power demonstrated at Detroit and Road America that he wants breathing room. Anybody in front of him?
Yeah.
And maybe Ferrucci's like, you know, I've seen some of those highlights. I'm going to lay out here. Let Will be Will.
He's also demonstrated he's not afraid to break a little bit later than the average average driver. So replay here, Santino Ferrucci just,
Yikes! Wow.
Yeah, you just got to be patient, man. Like, everybody is doing the same thing. I get it's frustrating, but you're just putting your and everyone else's cars at risk trying to do that.
This was ill-advised. That was a really bad idea. Now, IndyCar's told us they don't police practice, but that would be a good reason to start thinking about it, because that was incredibly dangerous.
The thing is, until something goes wrong, he's probably, if IndyCar doesn't step in, it's going to take an incident before you calm down that behavior.
That's a step too far for me.
I completely agree.
I mean, that's a blind entry. Newgarden is just thinking about gapping in front. He doesn't know Santino's firing. And that's a 100-mile-an-hour plus closing differential. Catastrophic if that goes wrong, and it almost did.
McLaughlin third, and we ride on board with Scott McLaughlin having a little wave at Felix Rosenqvist. So tough to find space around this track. It is only just over 2 miles in length, incredibly narrow. So easy to find drivers out there. Stingray Rob leaves pit lane. He's right on board with him and takes some laps of Mid-Ohio.
A huge space there. Next car start finish without the ones that left the pit lane. Those cars behind you just left the pit lane, so you have time to make some room there.
Still all clear behind, plus 15.
Yeah, copy, all cap now. All the time we need. Next one's just off at 2 here now.
Riding on board with Colton Herta at Mid-Ohio as the second half of the 2025 NTT INDYCAR Series begins. After this weekend, only 2 road courses remain on the calendar for the rest of the season. 1 street race and 4 oval races, 2 of them in Iowa, Milwaukee and Nashville to conclude the season.
As we take a look here at Christian Lundgaard having that bump, he hit that bump into 4 and just going a little bit wide and dropping wheels. But I was going to say, yeah, conversely, a strong result here can get that momentum on your side, get that confidence up, and really start a great run over these next 4 races.
Not quite as pronounced an issue at 4 as other people have had, but that bump is clearly creating issues for everybody down there. Right in the middle of the brake zone, you hit that hump, just unsettles the rear.
Yeah, in this case, he had a little bit of a bobble, but because the banking's been reprofiled in that corner, in the old days, he would have had no problem keeping his race car on the track because you'd slide up and grab the banking almost like a little bobble on an oval. But now with the reprofiled turn 4 this year, it's a much flatter corner, and you are still entering downhill, and that momentum can take you off. And this guy right here, Rasmussen, got his first podium at Gateway Nice job. And that's exactly what you need as a young driver looking to secure your future.
Moments ago, getting a replay here of Rasmussen slowing through 4, slowing up Shwartzman behind him. Stars and stripes on the ECR cars this weekend for the 4th of July celebrations. And Lundgaard, meanwhile, has popped to the top on a 1 minute 5.5529. That's a little close. It's more than close. It's contact.
Hey, if they're not going to police practice, we will. That's what the drivers say.
You saw the big unwinding of the wheel mid-corner for Shwartzman, just sort of
yes, and a slowdown,
showing
and a brake
his
check.
Displeasure for Rasmussen, kind of getting out of the throttle when he was on a hot lap.
Rossi's
kind of
wondering if...
Oh!
Oh, wow.
Huge save.
Dude. Dude.
Not the first time we've seen that in turn 1 this weekend. Man, that was big.
145 miles an hour at the exit as Rossi was laying heavy into that Chevy Power. But just like we saw from Jacob Abel yesterday, you climb that exit curve and you've got so much downforce compressing the back of the car. Let's look.
Tremendous reactions from Alexander Rossi. A little too much speed through there. The rear starts to go over onto the gravel, well, the dirt, really, and holds it.
I love the left front leaving skid marks as it bounced because it was up in the air. Man, that was so close to just hooking drivers left into that wall.
Let me tell you, the most important thing as a driver in a moment like that is to keep looking straight up the racetrack with your eyes. Your eyes dictate so much of what your hands and feet are going to do in terms of decision making. Younger drivers typically tend to look at the wall that they might hit on driver's left or something on the right. Alexander Rossi's a pilot. It reminds me a lot of a crosswind landing, and you got to just stay focused on the runway. And Rossi did that. Brilliant piece of car control to save it.
Oh, big crash. Someone's gone off. That is Marcus Ericsson in the 28 and front wing damaged down there in the gravel. Marcus Ericsson. And that's the final turn. I think he's probably just down in front of our commentary position, and he is beached down there in the gravel.
Looks like a pretty big front end impact.
So let's see what happens. Yeah, rear snaps out on him, catches it, but almost catches it too well.
Does the overcorrection. It's such an easy thing to do with the steering wheel loaded up. Again, no power steering in an Indy car, and as it steps out on you, the weight of that wheel is so much. Getting the right amount of correction sometimes can be a huge challenge. And for a driver that was looking for a strong weekend, sitting 4th in the time charts right now after being quite quick yesterday too, this is a huge, huge blow.
So another look. As you get the slide, you get the snap, the overcorrection, and we just saw the dent in the Armco created by the ferocity of the impact of Ericsson sending his Andretti into the barriers.
This is the exact kind of accident that nose cone is designed to address, to dissipate the energy, and exactly what the Hans device was designed to manage in terms of the driver's head movement forward on a sudden deceleration frontal impact.
We also had a moment through turn 1, Will Power going off, and sort of a hybrid between some of the moments we've seen down there, not going all the way off through the gravel, keeping it to the grass, and actually quite a tidy off for Will.
Yeah, I got to say, it's a lot smoother than it used to be right there in terms of runoff. I've had drivers literally break their backs doing just this in terms of how heavily the vertical impact is off track at Mid-Ohio, but different than the incidents that happened to Alexander Rossi and Jacob Abel there, in that Power dumped the throttle, just kept his hand straight and rode it out.
As we ride on board with Santino, I believe Marcus Ericsson is standing by.
Some work to do on the 28 car ahead of qualifying, but you did turn your fastest lap right before that. Was that just a matter of finding the limits ahead of qualifying?
Yeah, going a bit over the limit, I guess. So, yeah, very frustrating to... you know, we had a really good weekend. Yesterday was really good practice, and then again we had a really good practice going here, and I just got a bit of wheel spin there in the exit, and just snapped on me. And yeah, I'm hoping, you know, I went pretty straight in, so hopefully it's just front damage that we can fix. You know, it's going to be obviously not ideal for the guys. It's quite a bit of work, but hopefully is only concentrated to the front of the car so we can get that sorted and get the car in the same feel like I've had in the practice sessions, because we've been really fast. The Fox Honda has been really good, so I'm still excited for qualifying. I think we can see that really good session.
How do you put it behind you ahead of qualifying?
It's been a tough season for me, so I've had to put a lot of things behind me, so it's all good. I know I've been fast here all weekend, so you just got to go out and do that again this afternoon.
The confidence is up. That's Marcus Ericsson.
Everyone is struggling to find a gap because this is such a short track, and the challenging session continues for Colton Herta. Did find a little bit of pace, but he's off and back on.
Yeah, finding some pace, but finding the grass and the dirt as well. This is not a great weekend for him. Of course, contact yesterday, reversing into the barrier at one point, and again it's down there at turn 4, over the bump, unsettling the car, and off.
This was a new tire run for the 26. Only jumped up to P25, and yeah, like you say, they just get a little bit wide, but the outside of that new paved part of turn 4, just absolutely no grip.
I don't think it's too early to declare that turn 4 is a much more difficult corner than it used to be. Reprofiled with the bump that you see in the transition, Will. You know what? I know it's hard for the drivers. I love it as a spectator. It's a differentiator. That's going to create a longer braking zone there and a trickier situation to get through, and I think they're going to have to deal with it. The bump is in a brutal location, but that's why this is IndyCar. You got to figure it out. It's like a street circuit down there.
Oh, and McLaughlin
on the outside.
That's 4 as well.
Wow. Scotty Mack went off yesterday in turn 4 as well.
McLaughlin with the Odyssey battery machine this weekend. Let's take a look at what happened to him.
Over the bump.
You can see it
and
so
it just
clearly.
Goes.
Yeah, on that slow-mo was such a great shot there. You can just see how, like, any sort of vertical movement, vertical heave that you can see externally from inside the car, that feels like a massive movement.
What can you do to alleviate that? Is it about softening up the suspension, or you don't want to do that because it's literally one momentary part of the lap?
That's exactly right. To make that comfortable over that bump, you're sacrificing basically every other corner of the lap. So the drivers just have to kind of know to adjust, their approach to that corner, maybe back up the brake zone a little bit so you don't have as much brake pressure on while you hit it.
I think that's it. It's going to be a brake pedal determined thing. You're going to squeeze hard initially, release a tiny bit of brake pressure, and then apply again once you get through it. It's a little bit like the brake zone at Laguna Seca for the corkscrew, where the car gets light and you have to reduce pressure. In this case, the bump is going to cause lockup and disruption. So I think it's left foot behavior is the only technique in your toolkit here to deal with it.
And James, to your point, when we're running 2, maybe 3 wide at the race start down there, you hit that bump, the car steps out on you, and that's immediate contact down there for the very first corner of the very first lap.
Yeah, you might take out 3 or 4 cars if you get it wrong.
Including yourself.
Palou just went a second quicker than what Graham could pull off.
Also, Palou went off. That is a rarity. He don't see many mistakes from him.
He clocked the timing line coming through 10 and then goes off in 11. So looking for even a little bit more than the massive gap he already has on the field. But that's Alex Palou. And I just want to point out, Colton Herta did find some pace as well. He's jumped up into the top 5.
At a 1:03.8. I don't know if Palou is going to find 2 seconds or a second and a half, but might see them into the 1:04s.
As Herta again finds his way off track. Still 6th fastest.
Turn 9 there is such a tricky corner, and that's actually something that's pretty common. We haven't seen a lot of that so far in the 2 practice sessions, dropping wheels on the exit of 9, but you can see how blind it is. You're committing to the throttle before you can even see the exit, and it's important to get a good exit because that is where the alternate start-finish line is. So that's finishing the lap. The number of drivers that have been up on a lap and tossed it away by dropping wheels in the last corner of the lap. It's a rite of passage.
Nolan Siegel, that was almost a massive shunt.
Just catches the rears on exit of 4. Just here, catches a bit of dirt. That could have been huge.
I mean, there's no tires there. That's just, is there tires there? I guess there is a little bit of a tire barrier. That would have been just like Marcus Ericsson head on into a barrier with a very narrow tire stack.
Checkered flag is out. And Ericsson, of course, one of the big stories, bringing out the red flag with the crash down on the exit of turn 13 onto the start-finish straight. He'll finish this session 12th fastest. This man will finish fastest once again. It is a 105.396. His pole last year, a 105.351.